Okay, so let's look at how to solve these. So the way we've been solving this is in order to evaluate any of these trig functions, we first need to figure out what is the reference angle for negative 13 pi over 4. So here, if we do this, I'm going negative, so this is 4 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4, and so I'm going in terms of pi, right? So this is 4 pi over 4, or in other words, just pi, right? And then here, here goes the 8 pi over 4, or in other words, 2 pi. So 4 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. And then if I do one more, that'll be 12 pi over 4, and then we just have right here. And this is where we're in. So we're ended in quadrant 2. And so the reference here would be pi over 4, because we just want to come back to this angle right here. The sign here, the sign of tangent in quadrant 2 from the first thing, as we know, is negative. So tangent of negative 13 pi over 4 is equal to minus tangent of pi over 4, which gives us minus 1. All right. Here for the secant of 7 pi over 6, and pi over 6 occurs here. So we're in quadrant 3. Our reference angle here is pi over 6. Okay. You can look at 6.2 or 3 where we do reference angles in detail if you need to review that. Secant is negative in quadrant 3. And so here we'll have minus the secant of pi over 6. Okay, so what does that equal? Well, secant of pi over 6 is 2 square root 3 over 3. So it would be minus 2 square root of 3 over 3. This is our answer. Okay. So this is how you find the tangent or any trig function for any angle. Find its reference number, figure out what quadrant you're in, and then decompose it and use the graph of the table. Notice here we're doing a shorter table than it's been seen other places, but by all means use any table. All right, so what is the domain and range of the inverse sine and inverse cosine function? These are things you're just expected to memorize for the exam, okay? You will need this for the final. So the domain for each of these functions, the domain for both sine and cosine is minus 1 to 1. And the reason is that the range of sine or cosine is from 1 to 1, so the range of the inverse function becomes the domain, or the range of the original function becomes the domain of the inverse function. Then, what you need to remember here is the range, because we truncated this, is from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. In other words, inverse sine gives stuff in quadrant 4, written as a negative, and in quadrant 1. For cosine, if you remember, the range here is 0 to pi. And the reason, and so it gives answers in quadrant 1 and in quadrant 2. Okay, it's important to remember which quadrant your answers will come in, and so that's why we ask you to memorize this.